because a lot of people have given up. They're not trying. And I'm amazed by this. It's not doing it just today, but it's doing it tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and being consistent with your efforts every single day. You know, the whole thing about it is just don't believe the negative news. Just have a clear strategy. One of the things that I think is important about having a clear strategy is run your business every day like a startup. Look at all the expenses, reevaluate everything. One of the things that Laura said that I really agree in is, can you measure it? If you can't measure it, don't do it. Don't get involved in some kind of marketing or advertising program that basically isn't measurable. That's what I tell all my clients, is you've got to be able to measure your marketing. And go back to basics. How many times do we start a business and we're really good at customer service, we make the follow-up calls, we send the thank you card, and then we get really busy. And it all goes out the window, right? Because we're just too busy. We have to remember to go back to the basics. What got us there in the first place? Take the time to reach out. You know, it's a whole lot easier to keep a customer than get a new one. And how much time do we really spend in retention on our clients? I'm shocked and amazed when I go to talk to my clients. They tell me about your customer retention plan. I go, what's that? Have you bothered to say thank you to some of your customers before or in the past and now? Are you reaching out? Are you communicating with them? Newsletters are a great way to stay in touch. So the key is to really go back to the basics. Do the little things that your competitors aren't doing. Figure out what they're doing and do it better. The next thing you want to do is you want to have goals. How many of you have written goals? Okay. Only 3% of adult Americans have actually clearly written goals. Okay? One of the things that we teach our business owners is how to do that. But if only 3% of the people out there don't have clearly written goals, you're going to be ahead of the pack by writing out your goals. Quick things on goals, they should always be in the first person present tense. I weigh 185 pounds. I've been saying that for a long time. One of these days I'm going to get there. But the point is, it's got to be first person present tense. It's got to be smart, specific, measurable, aligned with your core values, realistic, and time-bound. Okay? It's real simple, and it sounds like a simple thing. You know, a lot of people say to me, Carlos, this isn't rocket science. It's not supposed to be. Okay? It's just the blocking and tackling. Remember Vince Lombardi? He started his football season every year the same way, right? He stood up and he said, this is a football. Now we're going to practice blocking and tackling today, and tomorrow we're going to practice blocking and tackling. So go back to the blocking and tackling. Have a goal, know exactly where you want to go. Success is goals, all else is commentary. You have to have a clear vision. One of the things that Laura said and we talked about today is, do I have a vision of my business? Let me ask you this question first. What is my purpose? Why am I here? What difference do I make to my clients? And if you can't answer that, you need to stop and say, what am I here for? Tom Peters just wrote a new book, and it's the first book he's written since In Search of Excellence. He got so much criticism from that first book that he just said he'd never write another book again, but he was encouraged to write a new one called The Little Big Things, 163 Ways to Live Excellence Every Day. When he says that everybody should have what he calls a remarkable point of view. So what is your remarkable point of view in today's economy? What separates you? How many insurance guys do we have in this room? You don't have to raise your hand. There's 4 or 5 of them. What sets you apart? What is your remarkable point of view? And he says you got to be able to say that in 8 words or less. So just remember, RPOV 8, remarkable point of view in 8 words or less. Okay. The next thing you want to do is you want to innovate. You want to be different, whatever it takes. You need to go and approach the market differently than you have. One of the things that I think is, because of limited resources, we have to target more effectively. I have to be able to pinpoint exactly the clients I want to go after. I think one of the things we talked about with Delisle and Laura was that, you know, a yellow page ad, it just throws this wide net out there. That's easy to do. You just write the check, right, and they do everything else for you. But what MC was saying is that he's focused it down to these specific people. So be creative, innovate, market your business differently. Think outside the box. There's a lot of different things that you can do in terms of study and learning. You can hire a business coach. That's a good idea always. Doug Hall wrote a book entitled Jumpstart Your Business Brain. And he talks about creating over business benefits. So that's a way to do it. Be creative, innovate. Don't spend a dime on your marketing if it doesn't work and you can't measure it. And I've already said that. Every organization can have a singleness of focus, and that's sales. All right? If you're not a selling organization, or if you don't think you're a selling organization, you're deceiving yourself. You've got to focus on selling. I started talking to some folks recently. They've been in business 15 years, and they're struggling. I said, well, tell me about your sales force. We don't have sales force. We've never been able to make that work. I'm thinking, okay, let me see. There's a correlation here. You're not successful at business, and you have no sellers. It doesn't work. We have to be a sales machine because everything we do. In coaching, I've got to sell myself. I've got to sell my concept before I can win a client. In insurance, it's the same way. In what you do, it's the same way. In what you do, you have to sell yourself. You have to be focusing on being a sales machine. Study your market. Do you understand why people buy from you? Do you understand what the market trends are? Delisle was talking about this earlier. He's talking about being on the cutting edge. Do we understand really what our customers' needs are and why they buy from us? That's so critically important. Why do I make the choices and decisions I make? It doesn't